Hello, and welcome to the 404 Media Podcast, where we bring you unparalleled access to hidden worlds, both online and IRL. 404 Media is a journalist-founded company and needs your support. To subscribe, go to 404media.co. As well as bonus content every single week, subscribers also get access to additional episodes where we respond to their best comments. Gain access to that content at 404media.co. I'm your host, Joseph, and with me are two of the 404 Media co-founders, the first being Sam Cole.
Hey.
And the other being Jason Kebler.
Hello.
Final reminder. Well, if you're a paying subscriber, you get this on Tuesdays. If you're listening to the free feed, you get it on Wednesdays, and that is the same day as our latest FOIA forum. As a reminder, well, I even did the cadence of the intro then, or the outro as a reminder. Anyway, the FOIA forum, a live-streamed event where we will teach you how to file public records requests. This one specifically, as I've said before, is about our flock reporting and that of researchers as well. We're going to show you those requests, how people learned from their local police departments or sheriff offices or local government, how and why police have been using flock cameras in their local communities and what that all means. And of course, our reporting shows the local cops have been doing lookups for ICE in there. Of course, this very important abortion story we did as well. I actually did one which I always forget to bring up, which is that flock cameras were used to monitor an immigration protest. I feel like we barely even mention that in the pieces when we're sort of rounding up our reporting. But there's a link in the show notes to the page on the site. Go to that, and then paying subscribers will find the live stream link to the event on the site. And again, that is the 19th of November, Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you can't make it, or you do become a paid subscriber later, we upload all of them to a certain section of the website, and you'll be able to watch an archive there. Jason, we should probably do the slides for that.
Yeah, it's been busy. It's only Tuesday. It's been a very, very busy week, and we have to put together a presentation for tomorrow. But we've done a lot about this, so I'm very excited for it. We've been meaning to do this Flock FOIA forum for quite some time, so very excited to talk about it. And the last few FOIA forums have been more and more people have been at them, which has been really awesome. So very excited for it.
Yeah, we will bring it all together, and of course we will answer a bunch of questions live on the live stream as well. All right, for this week's first section, we're doing something a little bit different. We're not talking about an article we wrote and published. We're talking more about something that we were maybe going to write about, but then we don't have enough time or whatever. But something that's still wild and important, and that we felt like talking about. And then the two other sections are going to be about articles we published. So the headline of this story isn't, but could be something like, "The formatting on the Epstein emails is crazy," is what I have in the Google Doc. Jason, what do you mean by that? And then I'm sure we'll go back and give people context, but what's your beef?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're trying to talk about something that everyone else is talking about. And as you mentioned, I did want to write an article about this last week. I just got really busy. But basically, the House Oversight Committee has been releasing tons and tons of emails and documents pulled from Jeffrey Epstein's estate. It's actually been a bit of a sparring match between the Democrats in the House Oversight Committee. And the Oversight Committee is the part of Congress, of the House of Representatives, that oversees the government, is responsible for government accountability and various investigations and things like that. And so as part of the sort of tussling over the Jeffrey Epstein documents and investigations, the Democrats have been releasing some files, and then the Republicans have also been releasing other files. And just as people who go through a lot of documents for our jobs and also care about archiving and government transparency and things like this, I thought that we could maybe talk a little bit about it. So,
and I guess just before you go ahead, these also aren't, in case it wasn't clear to people who've been following, this isn't like the Epstein files either. The Epstein files, quote unquote, are the FBI investigative files, which lawmakers may actually vote to release now. These are like the Epstein emails in a way, right?
So there are many Epstein files, and I think that when we're talking about like I don't even want to call it conspiracy theories, but when people are saying like release the Epstein files, I think that they are talking about the FBI's investigative files, as you said. That said, the FBI and the Department of Justice have released various Epstein files. It's just that many of them are redacted and many of them have come out as different parts of court cases over the years. And that's another like kind of issue with this, is that there has been like many different times where documents related to Jeffrey Epstein and his sex crimes and pedophilia crimes and sexual abuse and all the people that he interacted with, his plane records, like all these sorts of things have come out as different parts of different court cases over the years. And now what's being released, as I understand, are subpoenaed records from the House Oversight Committee, from the Epstein estate.
Yeah.
But there were also some Department of Justice records that got released somewhat recently in this same chaotic, insane way that we're about to talk about. And so I think, yes, like the Epstein emails is probably the correct way to think about it, as you said. But then again, it's like, I actually just got a push alert as we're recording this that the House voted overwhelmingly to release the Epstein files, demand that the Justice Department release all files tied to its Jeffrey Epstein investigation, is how the New York Times words it. And it's like, now that'll go to the Senate. Who knows if the Senate takes it up? Who knows if Donald Trump will sign it? It's like, we don't really need to get into it for this podcast. But these document dumps that have been happening over the last few months, and then very notably last week, have been released on Google Drive with a backup on Dropbox. And it's like,
and who sends that Google Drive link out? Is it like an official congressional email? Like, where does this Google Drive come from?
So on November 12th, there is a press release from the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. And here's the entirety of the press release.
Okay.
It says, Oversight Committee releases additional Epstein estate documents. Then it says Washington, where they're located, Washington, D.C. The House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform released an additional 20,000 pages of documents received from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein. The documents can be found here. And it's a link to a Google Drive with no title, no anything. And then it says a backup of the documents can be found here. And it's a link to the Dropbox. First of all, it's like pretty insane that Congress is releasing files via Google and Dropbox. And it's also kind of crazy that they are like having a backup link, like a mirror, as though they are worried that Google is going to delete these, as though they are like an adult actor who's like, follow my backup account here. Like it's kind of odd, I would say. I guess kind of given what we know about Pacer, which is the court systems file system, which is a shit show and very hard to search and very expensive. Like, I guess the House Committee on Oversight doesn't have its own server to upload these to. Maybe this is actually, I mean, we can debate it. Maybe this is not the worst way to release these sorts of documents, but basically it's like you click a link and it's just called Epstein Estate Documents, and then there's 4 folders, and the folders are data, images, text, and natives. And then there's a bunch of subfolders that are just like 001, 002, so on and so forth. And I'm like, really?
It's not sorted at all, like chronologically or anything like that.
Not from what I can tell. It really, honestly, when it came out, it felt to me like I was playing Jeffrey Epstein email lottery or slot machine, because you open up like the image folder 006 and then you click into something and then it's just like screenshots of articles, or like it's just random stuff. Like there's PowerPoint presentations, there's many emails, there's emails in different formats. I don't even know if that's necessarily like that bad. Like, some of the emails have, or some of the images have thumbnails and things like that. Um, but it is just like an incredibly chaotic way to release something that has so much public interest, I guess I would say. And then one of the earlier documents just had a bunch of JPEGs of emails that were
Mhm.
not OCR'd in any way. OCR means optical character recognition, meaning you can search them, like Control F, you can search through them. That hadn't been done on anything. And I guess I'm curious what you think, like why this is the case. I have a few theories, but from a usability perspective, from a like, hey, I'm interested in this as a normal person, it's not the best. Let me ask you a question. Do you trust your internet provider to respect your privacy? There's a good reason not to. Depending on where you live, ISPs may be required to keep logs of your online activity. In the US, ISPs can legally sell your browsing history for profit. The good news is you don't have to trust your ISP as long as you use ExpressVPN. We report on privacy and data brokers all the time, and I've learned that without ExpressVPN, third parties can see every website you visit, even if you use incognito mode. This includes your ISP, your mobile network provider, and the administrators of your Wi-Fi network. Think your boss, your school, your parents, etc. ExpressVPN reroutes your traffic through secure encrypted servers to prevent this. ExpressVPN is offering its lowest price ever, starting at just $3.49 a month or 12 cents a day. ExpressVPN is easy to use, works on all devices, and hides your IP address, meaning you can maintain your privacy without it impacting your life. Select plans include Identity Defender, a new suite of tools to get your data removed from data brokers, alert you when your data appears on the dark web, and even insure you against data theft for up to $1 million. I use ExpressVPN to change my browsing habits for 404 Media's reporting purposes all the time. With just one click, I can show a website or service that I'm in another state or another country. That's been really useful when we do our reporting on age verification, which has been really impactful. And then I also use it in my regular life, whether I'm at home or using public Wi-Fi. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/404media. That's expressvpn.com/404media to find out how you can get up to 4 extra free months. expressvpn.com/404media. Are you ready to win this holiday season? Aura Frames will help you do it. This digital picture frame is a gift that's personal, easy, and unforgettable. Mine is actually back there if you're watching on YouTube. My sister is incredible at giving gifts. Somehow she just knows the perfect present to put under the tree for every person. I'm usually the one giving out impersonal gift cards. Not this year. This year, I've got her beat thanks to Aura Frames, the world's smartest digital picture frames. Aura Frames is a digital picture frame you can load with unlimited free photos and videos. You can preload it with photos before it ships, so it's ready to spread memories the minute it's out of the box on Christmas morning. My 404 Media co-founders actually bought me that one that you see back there and preloaded it with pictures of their faces and gave it to me for my birthday, which was pretty amazing when I opened the box and saw that photos were already on it. And when you snap pictures of the smile on their face when they open the box, you can send them straight from your phone to the frame. So don't wait. Win the holidays now with Aura Frames. For a limited time, visit auraframes.com and get $45 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code 404media at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code 404media. This exclusive Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal is their best of the year, so order now before it ends. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
My guess is it sounds like a raw export in response to the subpoena, in that when the subpoena is issued and then it's received by the target, they will, maybe the legal department will do it in conjunction with the IT department. I don't know about the Jeffrey Epstein IT department. It could be, lawyers or whatever, right? But they'll have software to produce the correct records in response to a subpoena. And the fact that it sounds really curated in any way. It sounds like it's just like a raw export, especially that natives folder. So maybe it's just that, and they didn't really, maybe they read them obviously for their congressional investigation, but it doesn't sound like they then went and curated them at all to then publicly release them. It's more like a dump. And it's weird because, the argument for it being on Google Drive, pretty accessible. Everybody has a Google account. And even if you don't, you can usually download stuff from a public Google Drive link, even if you don't have a Gmail, right?
I guess it's also not going to get hugged to death.
Right.
It's likely to stay up.
A ton of that. And then, so I can see the argument for it. It's just funny where been covering data dumps for like 10 years at this point. And sometimes like hackers are more organized than this, like young, sometimes reckless hackers, they'll put more effort into their press release with their ASCII art than it sounds like the committee did here in getting these documents online.
I just clicked 3 files that are next to each other. One is an email from 2016, one is an email from 2018, and the other is an email from 2017. It's like they're not in any sort of order, really, from what I can tell. And so I think that you're correct. And I think also, so this entire case, or a huge part of this entire situation, is built on the idea that we can't trust the government, we can't trust the official narrative of what happened here or the investigation. And there have been instances where the government has been accused of altering files. For example, the surveillance footage of his jail cell when he died. There's Wired did a story where there's the metadata shows that there's missing footage. So I do think that I actually think, despite everything that I said, it's good that they did a raw dump, or what seems to be a raw dump of the files. What I don't understand is why, and maybe this is getting too political, but why did the Democrats who wanted to release this not spend more time curating these emails and creating a website or somewhere that you can read them in a way that makes sense, in addition to the raw dump, from a political narrative? Why are they here's a bunch of random files with random formats in no order, good luck? Do you think that it's just a, hey, have fun with this, go crazy, read this stuff? Does it feed into the conspiratorial nature of it, or the I don't know, maybe this is a better way of releasing it, because things did then seem to come out slowly over the weekend as journalists and people on Blue Sky and Twitter and Reddit started finding interesting emails. But I don't know, it feels not very calculated, I guess.
Yeah. And Sam, I'm going to ask you something without revealing what you're working on. But you're working on something at the moment where you have to go through a lot of data to figure out who you're going to reach out to, the story, that sort of thing. If you were covering this Epstein story, how would you prefer it was delivered to you rather than this?
I don't think I would want I don't think I would want a neat, organized version, because it would make me wonder if if they left anything out or like what they cut or like if they were like, oh, that's not important, but maybe it was important. Like, I don't know. It's like, I think like don't touch it and just dump it is probably the smartest way to do it. That said, I don't think they're thinking that hard. I don't think there's a smart way and a not smart way that they've considered. I think this is just like chumming the water, like just like get it out and let journalists and whoever and whatever like talking head wants to deal with it at a cable news network can go through it. Like I just don't think anyone's like spending that much time thinking about how to do this, which is probably why we end up with it the way that it is. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could go down various rabbit holes and like wonder if it's a mess on purpose, if it's hard to go through on purpose. But it's also like, I don't know. It's like you click. I have barely touched it, but like it's like you can just throw a dart and end up with like a billionaire admitting to like horrible crimes, which is also like its own bizarre. You know, it's like you can't really go wrong clicking around in that thing. There's not really a boring file in there because it's all horrible.
That's part of what is so horrifying, where it's just like, oh, click one email. It's something terrible from Peter Thiel saying like had a good time hanging out. Then it's like the next one is like Larry Summers, and then it's just like behind every door a new horror. So I mean, yeah, maybe the slot machine aspect of it is actually like smart.
So I guess how would you organize it anyway? It's like I guess chronologically would be the only way that I would think would make any sense. But then if you went to organize it more than that, it would be like, what would it be like by billionaire, by estate that they're located in during the email? It's like, how do you kind of go more granular than just like by date? But even by date would be helpful, I guess. But I don't know. It's like, I don't really need them to be helpful. It's like, I don't be helpful. Honestly, just let the people who are actually doing the process do the process. But you know.
Yeah. And as you say, journalists have been going through it, and there's, a few stories that come out of it. There's the Michael Wolff stuff. For those who don't know, I mean, a very famous journalist / writer. And in the emails, he's seen giving a quote, heads up to Epstein that, hey, CNN is working on something. They're planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you. And then Epstein replies, if I were to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? And Michael Wolff, again, apparently the journalist, says, oh, you should let him hang himself, metaphorically. Actually, a really poor choice of words looking back, back in time. But obviously, what the hell are you doing? you're like giving PR advice to a pedophile. And then even if he wasn't, you shouldn't be giving PR advice to anybody. You're a journalist. What the hell are you doing? Anyway, there was that. And then there was some stuff like New York Times writer. And that's like a whole other thing. There was, I think a Democrat on a committee during a Michael Cohen hearing was texting with Epstein. So there's definitely interesting stuff in there. But as you say, Jason, it took a few days for it sort of to come out, because it required people to really dig through it and then probably do additional reporting as well. When Epstein documents have come out before, we've even published them. I think the most traffic we've ever got is when we published some Epstein docs, right?
It was very funny. We were the Google Drive in this instance, because there's a big dump of Epstein documents soon after we launched, like within a couple months of us launching, I think. And I downloaded them all off of Pacer. We bought them, we paid for them, and then we uploaded them to our own site. And I think it is still our highest trafficking article of all time.
Yeah.
I think.
It's literally, to be honest, it's probably more sketch than the Google Drive. It's literally a link at the bottom of the article. It's like, do you just want to download the PDFs? It's like raw, straight from our server, basically. But
it's actually not. It's not the biggest anymore. It was the biggest for a while, but we passed it many times this year. But that was like soon after we launched, so it was like a bunch of articles that had just a few thousand people read them, and then like tens of thousands, hundreds of over 200,000 people
Sure.
looked at this one.
And crucially, those court documents were probably OCR'd or capable of being OCR'd, right? Like you just download them and you can kind of search them if you have the right tools, right?
They were all PDFs, which
Right.
is like helpful. There's like not a PDF to be found, honestly.
In the latest stuff, yeah.
Not that, I mean, there's some, but they're mostly in just like weird formats. The Interestingly, on that first one where we upload them, we like upload them to our website. And I did hear from Ghost, our service provider, after that it was like they were like, that was like very expensive for us
Oh,
to host those files because they got downloaded so many times. And that was like when we were smaller, when they were smaller. I just don't think that anyone was kind of like expecting an influx of like downloading gigabytes and gigabytes of data from our website. But anyways,
well, two things. Obviously, we're joking a bit, but there is also like a serious element to this in that it's really important to be able to access information. So why do you think that's so important? Because, journalists will figure out eventually we have these stories. Like, why does it really matter that it gets delivered more easily? And how would you prefer it?
Well, I was going to say there actually have been a few projects
Right.
Immediately after these documents have been released to OCR them, so to run them through, optical character recognition software, and then to upload them in a more searchable format. I think Zeteo, which is another independent media company, made a tool that allows you to search things. And then there's been a few projects, one of which we wrote about a few weeks ago, that tried to use AI to do it. And so they would like OCR it, but then they also had AI summaries of different documents and things like that. It's like interesting project, like interesting attempt at AI, especially because he used like an offline AI. Like he used one that he had, like an open source one that he had on his computer. And those websites allow you to search like all documents that mention Trump, all documents that mention Larry Summers, all documents that mention Michael Wolff. Like you can search by, I don't know, like type of document, things like that. But I've heard like pretty mixed things about how well they are OCR'd, just because there's so many documents and like these projects are really rushing. And so there is maybe like a loss of fidelity in that process. I think that those projects are cool and are like needed. And I think we love an archive project. We've talked a lot about different archive projects. I do think that, I don't know, like, I don't know what the best way to do it is, but I kind of wanted to just bring it up because we have been talking a lot about ICE on this podcast over the last few months, and we're going to talk about it more.
Talk about it again in a minute.
But I think it was just like, let's do something that's not like in another show that's entirely about ICE, and this is something else that people are talking about. That and Olivia Nuzzi, which I think we probably won't talk about. But that's like the thing that is like going on at this juncture in the discourse. But with the FOIA forum coming up tomorrow and things like that, like the ways that governments release documents is pretty interesting, and it's crazy. It's like all over the map. Like if you filed public records requests, I think everyone has some sort of story about a weird file format or like a proprietary file format or a password protected PDF that they don't tell you the password for that they've gotten, things like this. Like I got a floppy disk from a government like maybe 3 years ago. It's just like they're sending stuff out in really bizarre ways very often. And this is a function of different local governments using different computer systems, different filing systems. A lot of them use Outlook, but they don't know how to like export Outlook, email boxes, things like that. Gotten a lot of corrupt files, things like that. And so part of being a journalist is figuring out how to open up all of these file formats and how to search through them and all that. And this just seemed like a good opportunity to talk a little bit about that. I've learned how to open up Windows, like Windows only files on a Mac more times than I would like to count. And it doesn't go very well very often, but yeah, I don't know.
Dealing with my small farm of virtual machines I have to tend to, I think I just gave up. Well, no, I used to do that a lot, running various Linux virtual machines, then Windows ones to open all different files. Now I'm just like, Emmanuel, could you just open this on your Windows machine and just send a screenshot to me? I don't have time to fucking do all of that. Okay, we will leave that there unless, well, I know, we're going to finish this podcast and maybe they have dumped the documents. I guess we're going to see. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk about a fun recruiting effort on LinkedIn. I'll put it like that. We'll be right back after this.
NordProtect is a comprehensive identity theft protection service crafted by cybersecurity experts. We report on fraud and hacking all the time, and so you know it's a dangerous world out there. NordProtect is built to help you protect your identity automatically 24/7. This includes dark web monitoring, credit monitoring, and security alerts, as well as financial coverage across a wide range of threats, from identity theft to online fraud and scams. You'll be covered when it matters most, helping you respond quickly to hacking attempts, extortion, and more. And they'll help you get back on your feet after any incident with their identity restoration services. NordProtect is particularly rare in the market because it comes with cyber insurance and specific scam protection. If your identity is stolen, you can receive up to $1 million for recovery expenses. And extortion protection covers up to $50,000 to help you respond. There's also coverage for cyber fraud and cyber attacks, which keep you safe if you're targeted with fake money transfers or fall victim to a fake store. I feel more comfortable and safer online thanks to NordProtect. Our jobs are public facing and we write about powerful people and companies, which makes us particularly big targets for scams, doxing, threats, impersonation, and identity theft. NordProtect helps me sleep better at night knowing it's working even when I'm not. Get an exclusive 5% discount on NordProtect plans. Go to nordprotect.com/404mediapod and use the code 404mediapod at checkout. I feel like I'm regularly recommending Shopify to entrepreneurial people in my life. I've helped my mom set up a Shopify store, and she has since helped some of her clients set up their own Shopify stores. I've gotten people at our merch fulfillment center to switch, and why wouldn't you? It's the service that powers the 404 Media merch store and so much more online. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, powering 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to, well, 404 Media. Shopify gives you the tools to build, sell, and grow anywhere, whether you're just starting out or whether you've got a huge business. With the internet's best checkout, fewer carts will be left unattended. And here's a little secret. Your Shopify store will look like you've been selling for years, even if you only spend a few minutes setting things up. Shopify, it wears all the business hats that maybe you don't feel comfortable wearing. I also love that Shopify scales with you. You can set up your store in just a few minutes with hundreds of ready-to-use templates and be on the world's most powerful and easy-to-use back end, complete with Shop Pay. And then, as you grow, you can take advantage of lots of its other features, which help you do things like marketing, email campaigns, social media ads, and much more. Shopify is your commerce expert, helping you with everything from inventory management to international shipping, returns, and more. Because when you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify by your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today and start selling at shopify.com/media. That's shopify.com/media. Okay, and we're back. Joseph, this is a story you did about ICE. We're going to continue writing a lot about ICE, by the way. What I mentioned in the first section was just like, we care very deeply about it. It's just that we wanted to talk about something else for at least one section of the pod. Contractor recruiting people on LinkedIn to physically track immigrants for ICE will pay $300. Joseph, this all started with a LinkedIn post. What was the post?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. So it's from a guy called Jim Brown, who is the president at Feds United. Feds United is a federal contractor consultancy. So it is a contractor in some ways, but it's more they work with other contractors to figure out their contracts. It's probably the most, DC belt, Virginia, Maryland thing you could probably think of. The company exists to do the contracts for the contractors, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Jim posted on LinkedIn. Well, while I was writing this, it was 3 weeks ago, and now it's a month. So, basically bang on a month ago, he writes this LinkedIn post and he says, "Hello to my LinkedIn retired law enforcement and military friends." He then goes on to say that Feds United is looking for around 20 more of these retired or former law enforcement or retired military personnel in DC or Northern Virginia to participate in what he calls a, quote, 90-day pilot project that is expected to kick off within the next few weeks, end quote. And he says that the project is to assess whether contractors can validate addresses associated with subjects of interest. You're to only observe and report. That's it. All pretty vague, not a lot of details. But he says if you're interested, in true LinkedIn fashion, if you're interested in the opportunity, please contact me here via LinkedIn messaging or share it in your wider network. He doesn't have hashtag hiring in his LinkedIn profile photo. I didn't see anybody with hashtag open to work in their profile photos, even though Jason made that pretty good joke. So yeah, it all started there, basically.
Yeah. One of the worst LinkedIn posts I've read in quite some time. So basically, you see this LinkedIn post, and then you spoke to some people who had been briefed on the plans. Like, what did you learn?
Yeah. So as you heard, that LinkedIn post, as I said, was vague. It didn't say what exactly the work was, who exactly they would be working for. But I then spoke to multiple people who had been briefed on those plans, and they said that it is verifying information for ICE. So Feds United, or the contractor they're working with that we'll probably talk about in a minute, they would provide addresses from ICE of immigrant targets, undocumented people, alien targets, alien obviously being the US government's term for somebody who's in the country who's not a citizen. And they will be tasked with, here are some vehicles, you have to go verify whether this address belongs to this person or not. So we can figure out, yes, this undocumented person is at this location. That gets reported back to ICE, and then presumably that is going to be so then ICE can act on that information. From what I was told, ICE doesn't always have a good address for the people it is trying to go after. I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. Probably one might be that ICE's targets might be mobile. Maybe they use some services and not others. And I think a very interesting one, which came up in some of my conversations, is that DHS has repeatedly been cut out of a lot of tools that they used to have access to. So stuff like utility bill data. I remember in the first Trump administration, there was a big story in the Washington Post, which I think came after a Wyden office investigation, about how utility companies were selling personal data, and that was ending up with DHS. As far as I know, that got cut off. So what is this pilot trying to do? Well, we have all these addresses, and other people can go verify them with the tools they have, which, different tools in private industry, or simply there's just a lot of work to do, like going out and verifying whether somebody lives here or something and observing them. That is a lot of manual work, for a lack of a better way of pulling it. But that is what this plan was. Start with a LinkedIn post, then right up to, you go out, verify these addresses, and we'll give you $300 per address, up to a maximum of $30K.
Yeah, so this is part of a bigger ICE initiative to work with skip tracers, which are bounty hunters, essentially, which
basically.
I actually, I saw, and private investigators, I think is fair to say, like, I didn't know that bounty hunters was a real job, honestly, outside of Star Wars until a few years ago when you did an article about the bounty hunting industry, where we tracked ourselves using a tool that they had access to. And that was a huge, huge story. I did not understand that this was a thing. So maybe it would be helpful just to like talk about the ICE project, but also just a little bit about the skip tracing industry.
Yeah. I mean, I learned they're not just Dog the Bounty Hunter. That was my one, not just the Star Wars one. But yeah, I had to learn this all pretty quickly back in 2018 when we did that story, as you said, where it turned out bounty hunters and skip tracers had access to the basically real-time location data of, I think, most phones in America sold by T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T at the time. And I didn't really know what a skip tracer was. So then I ended up speaking to a few, pretty sure before I published that, and then definitely after. I've been speaking to a lot of these people for years at this point. And a skip tracer will do a few different things. I mean, a lot of it comes down to finding people who skipped bail. That's where the term comes from. A skip tracer is somebody who finds somebody else who has skipped bail, and then you need to, locate them, and you'll be paid for those services. They also do stuff like finding stolen vehicles, and that'll be on behalf of, I don't really think an individual, but more like an insurance company or something like that. And they'll go find those vehicles, find people as well, as I said. And I think, to be fair to that industry, we and others sometimes use the terms skip tracer and bounty hunter basically interchangeably, because I think people know what a bounty hunter is. And I know skip tracers won't agree with this, but they're kind of the same. You were being paid a commission to go find a person or find an item or something like that, right? But whenever I speak to somebody who says, no, I'm specifically a skip tracer, obviously I respect that and I will attribute it as such in the article. But what I learned through doing that phone location story is that bounty hunters, skip tracers, and private investigators, and of course in many states you have to get a license to be a private investigator, and I believe sometimes a skip tracer as well, they have access to all sorts of different technologies and tools and data. So that's sometimes phone location data. It's stuff like TLOXP, which is a powerful data tool that we've covered actually way back when we first launched in 2023, where it has the personal data from the top of a credit report, so name, address, that sort of thing. And that can be really, really useful for tracking down somebody, because presumably they put their real address on their credit card bill so they can receive it, even though they might not give their address elsewhere, something like that. So skip tracers, they have access to all of that sort of stuff. Smartphone location data as well, potentially, and license plate readers, which are all over the country. We actually covered one recently, which we were going to talk about in detail today, but like the Motorola Thomson Reuters one and the Vigilant one. There's all of these cameras all over the country, and law enforcement can use the tool to search those. Private investigators can as well. And years ago, a private investigator source showed me that tool in action and actually tracked someone with their consent. So I've always been drawn to the skip tracers and the bounty hunters and the private investigators ever since like 2018, because I don't think people understand they basically have the same capabilities as cops, like technologically and data-wise. It's just that, potentially there's far less accountability, because although, yes, a PI might be licensed and yes, they could use their license, they're much closer to a member of the public than a cop, right? Now, of course, these people don't have always the authority to arrest you, but they can get pretty damn close if they can't.
Yeah, and so now ICE is reaching out to this industry. They're giving contracts to this industry, and they are saying, "Hey, you largely do this for private purposes or like sometimes for courts, perhaps, now do it for ICE.
Yeah, that's basically right. Where we already have this massive private industry of skip tracers who their entire thing is finding people's addresses and finding their physical location. Why don't we essentially outsource that part of ICE's mass deportation effort to skip tracers and bounty hunters? And I'm pretty sure this pilot that this article is about, paying the randos off LinkedIn $300, I'm pretty sure it is part of this broader plan, which was first reported by The Intercept in October, where on a Friday night, ICE published a procurement document. I think I was already several beers down, and then I saw the Intercept piece. I was like, damn, I should have seen that. Intercept publishes that. Very, very interesting. We then cover, I think a couple of weeks later, that we find that ICE has allocated as much as $180 million to this effort. I then speak to PIs and skip tracers, and they say, well, some of them are horrified. Some of them are like, yes, I will do this work. And one of them says, well, the budget is so big that this is probably going to be for like large scale government contractors. Like, it's probably not going to be your random, like, family run PI business. Although, I imagine ICE will probably take all the help they can get. So we published that, and then somebody reaches out about this latest contracting effort. And, our style very much is to do story after story after story after story. Like, we don't wait to do like one big 3,000 word article or something. Sometimes we do, but I much prefer this cadence because it leads to these sorts of stories where people reach out. And for me, and I guess I'll just leave it here, for me, this is a story not just because it provides some specifics of what's going on. It's like, oh, it started with ICE being like, yes, we'll get skip tracers and probably licensed PIs and that sort of thing. Now they're getting randos off LinkedIn. And to me, I think that was really, really crazy, Jason, last thing, I think we changed the headline on this. Why did we do that?
I mean, we just added LinkedIn on it because the origin story of it being these people being recruited off of LinkedIn is just so crazy. It's like the whole thing is so dehumanizing and upsetting. And, ICE's mass deportation campaign is... it's bad for all of the reasons that we've talked about. And it's just like when the government is doing it, I mean, when this government is doing it, there's not a whole lot of like care and guardrails and restraint and all that sort of thing. But at least it is like the government. And now it's like subcontractors of the government finding people on LinkedIn to do this type of work. It's just like, what could possibly go wrong? Like any number of things could go wrong. And I think there's been a whole controversy about, ICE officials identifying themselves and that sort of thing. And now it's like, yes, apparently this project, there's not supposed to be altercations. It's like these people are supposed to, quote, observe and report, is how you put it in the article, or I think how the LinkedIn post put it. Yeah. But what happens when someone's observing and reporting and then someone asks, like, what the hell are you doing here? Vibes like that. It's easy to say that, but then who knows what happens? And it just like raises all these questions about, like you sort of expect law enforcement to identify themselves, and there's already been cases of people impersonating ICE agents and FBI agents and all that sort of thing, and this just like raises that to a 10, I think.
Yeah.
So very not good. This of like, I say this all the time, but of the many stories that we've done about ICE, like this is one that is very alarming. I feel this is very alarming.
Yeah, actually, I'll just add that Spencer Ackerman mentioned this on Blue Sky after we published, but like there has been these sorts of pervasive rumors for months and months and months on Blue Sky and other social media platforms where it's like, oh, that ICE official you're filming, he's actually a bounty hunter. He's actually somebody from the Proud Boys who's pretending to be ICE to then get paid money. And frankly, it's an unsubstantiated myth, right? I think people are kind of just buying into that for whatever reason. I mean, maybe it's easier to believe that than, no, that's a federal government employee and they're not identifying themselves and they have the full power of the state behind them and a culture of impunity and there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe that's a little bit scarier. But that said, that was a myth for months. Now it's like, oh, they actually did it. They actually hire the bounty hunters now and it became real. I just don't think it was really real before October, or it wasn't a formal policy before October, is my understanding.
Before you end the podcast, may I simply go back to Epstein for a second and ask,
dude, what happened?
No, it's just like the Donald Trump blew Bill Clinton. Are we not even going to even discuss at all?
Well, Emmanuel's not here and he's obsessed with it.
Yeah, so, I feel like Sam, like you, where do you come down on this? How do you feel? How do you feel
I don't
about
even know.
this?
Is that even? I didn't even know if it was a meme or a joke or real, and which is kind of how I'm engaging with this entire news cycle. So, is it real?
It's a meme. It's a joke, and it's real. No,
the best type.
Is there video?
No,
I would like to see it.
Can you explain it, please, Jason?
So I don't have the exact email in front of me, but there is an email. I believe it's from Jeffrey Epstein's brother to someone where he says that Trump blew Bubba. And Bubba is like a nickname for Bill Clinton. And so, you know, it's sort of become like the JD Vance couch meme situation. But there is an email claiming that Trump blew Bubba and Bubba, perhaps Bill Clinton. There's been some reporting that Bubba is not Bill Clinton, but is a private citizen, is like another person. But it raises like many questions. It raises questions just in terms of like what's going on here. I've seen some very good jokes. This is obviously like extraordinarily upsetting stuff and like very dark and terrible. However, some of the jokes are funny, I must say.
I would say that, I mean, it's basically, and it's not going to be as big as this, but it's basically P-tape 2, right? Where people are like, yes. If this happened, it will come out. And then I'm talking about like, you know, the hashtag resistance, Muller she wrote, or whatever, X accounts and Blue Sky accounts or whatever. Like, yeah, if this comes out, finally it'll be over for Trump and he'll be out or whatever. And it's just like, dude, absolute delusional copium. Like, that is not happening. We already know that there isn't like a single story that changes things like post 2016. That just doesn't happen, you know?
So Snopes has fact checked this and has rated it true.
Wait, true. So an email says
here is what the email says. The email says, from Epstein's brother to Jeffrey Epstein, it says, ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba, ? And then Epstein, then they make like various jokes about it, of which I can't like really understand. Epstein says back, and I thought I had Tsuris, Tsuris. And then one of the reasons why some of these emails are so like difficult to parse is because they're all boomers who don't know how to type.
It's crazy.
Which is like worth mentioning. It's just like these people email how you think that they would email. It's like they're like confessing to crimes like left and right. Like, I saw a good joke that it was like teenager downloading anime from piracy website, uses like 6 VPNs, you know, Tor network, etc. And then it's just like Jeffrey Epstein discussing pedophilia and sex crimes. It's just like, just talks about it in the open on emails. It's very crazy, but they also like can't type. at all.
Yeah, billionaires are incapable of sending like a cogent email, it seems. All right, we'll leave it there. If you're a billionaire who can write a cogent email, please send one in and we'll take a look. If you're listening to the free version of the podcast, I'll now play us out. But if you are a paying 404 Media subscriber, we're going to talk all about this new code of conduct in the adult industry that Sam has covered, which has been, frankly, a long time coming. You can subscribe and gain access to that content at 404media.co. As a reminder, 404 Media is journalist-founded and supported by subscribers. If you do wish to subscribe to 404 Media and directly support our work, please go to 404media.co. You'll get unlimited access to our articles and an ad-free version of this podcast. You'll also get to listen to the subscribers-only section, where we talk about a bonus story each week. This podcast is made in partnership with Kaleidoscope. Another way to support us is by leaving a 5-star rating and review for the podcast. That stuff really helps us out. Here is one of those from Mouse Switch. In-depth reporting from truly independent journalists. An essential listen for staying informed and sane during this moment of corporate capture over our media environment. Thank you so much. This has been 404 Media. We'll see you again next week.